Welcome to At the Round Table with the Champions of the Covenant. I'm Zach, and this is Justin.
Howdy.
And we're here today to talk about something very important. That's the SUM founding document. I got it right here on the table. It's a big frame here. I want to kind of show it real fast. A lot of you guys remember this. Some of you guys tuning in signed this document. But it's really important to us as SUM because we always want to kind of go back to our founding and really understand what the purpose of SUM is, especially in times where we need some direction or in times where we need some inspiration. So just want to give you guys the chance to really understand this document, to provide a starting point for y'all to dive deeper into it in your life groups. But Justin, so can you explain to me a little bit why we read this document in life group?
Yeah, so reading this earlier this week and thinking about it, one thought or image that came to mind was this. Was thinking about how it's good that we're the American branch or we're part of the American Shunt Stop movement,
Sure.
Because we should have a natural kind of inclination or understanding of this attachment to founding documents, because Americans hold the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in high regard.
Right, this is like our Constitution, right. For the SUM. We refer back to it and see, are we interpreting the mission of SUM correctly?
Right, and a lot of discussions go to are we fulfilling the ideals put forth in the founding document? So that's why we go back and read this, is because we have to know what it says, we have to know what it means and how it inspires us.
Absolutely. And I think what's important to note is that this was in 2008, but it still very much applies to us today in 2020. We still have the chance to derive a lot from it. We still have the chance to apply a lot of it to our lives because it's our branch. These guys were talking about transforming UT. They were talking about transforming the campus. And we just wanted today invite you guys into that mission to really be able to see what it can be for your life.
What does the mission say? Like, what are the words?
Definitely. Well, there's two things I want to call your attention to. First, we have the mission of SUM, or the mission of the founding document, which is developing our self-sanctification through a union with Mary in order to act as provocative leaders and to transform UT into a place of virtue and grace. Below that, we see the motto of SUM. It's what we all have on our wristbands, which says SUM, Transforming Hearts with Mary. So, Justin, I want to ask, what are these two things that we say? What exactly did they found? What did they start?
They started an SUM branch, right?
Right, the Shenstein University branch. And kind of what has that meant to a lot of us as guys who've been in SUM? What have those two
motto?
phrases?
Well, it's sort of like the most fundamental. You should be able to reduce down what you're doing to what's contained in the mission and in the motto, ultimately. So it's like a Northern Star kind of guiding principle for the branch, and
for sure.
A good measuring stick for if you're wondering if what you're investing your time in as a branch, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So let me ask you this then. If it's been functioning as a measuring stick for you, when you look at the mission statement, what sticks out to you most? I know you're a big UT football fan, so I'm thinking UT into a place of grace and sanctity. Maybe that's what.
I've grown up in Austin, and so to me, I have a very certain understanding of what UT is.
Right.
And it's kind of funny, I think, when you read this the first time, and UT's this secular institution, public institution,
sure,
it's not church.
When Austin's kind of a secular city, it's it's almost like one of the centers of the secular revolution in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So a major university campus, and talking about that in terms of a place of pilgrimage and grace is sort of doesn't make much sense. But so that's something I certainly gravitated to. But I think when we talk about this, we like to bring up this experience Zach and I had when we were in overnight while we were in college, and we were struggling with this phrase because we could understand how we would pursue holiness and we would pursue self-sanctification.
Yeah.
But there was this divide, between what we thought we were and what we thought UT was.
Yeah. And how do we kind of get over that mentality of like, okay, well, UT seems like a really big place. How are we going to transform the 40 acres into a place of virtue and grace? That doesn't make any sense. How do we kind of resolve that problem?
Yeah, and the understanding that was put to us bluntly was that it is mechanistic. It's kind of wrong to think that there's this big separation between you and UT when you're a student there. Like
Right.
when you're involved on campus, when you are a Longhorn, like you can't separate yourself from what UT is.
You can't just act like we're not part of UT. You can't just say like, okay, our mission ground is this campus that we're separated from, and we got to go in there every day and be missionaries or something. We're being missionaries to our own people.
Yeah, you have to have faith that like you being on campus day in and day out, doing your schoolwork, pursuing virtue as a student, and all that stuff is going to have a real effect on your classmates, on your
Right.
teachers, and all that stuff. And you have to take that on faith, but you have to really move forward with that, and it solves this dilemma.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it also solves the dilemma because once you see yourself as a UT student, once you see your life as part of the life of UT, as you transform yourself, you transform UT because you are UT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that people see that and they become so invested in that and they become so inspired by what you do and what you say that they can't help but want to join in.
So that brings us to the part of the phrase that you like, right?
Yeah, I love this phrase where it says we want to act as provocative leaders. Provocative can be kind of a word that a lot of people see as dangerous. It can be a word that's maybe seen as aggressive or confrontational or something like that, and it's been used that way a lot. But personally, I don't really see provocative as that. Provocative to me is something that demands our attention, not because it's in your face, but because it calls attention to itself, right?
Yeah, it's something. It should be something novel or something new. Like you get somebody, like quick. What is that kind of thing? It demands a
Yeah.
reaction.
It demands a reaction. I really like the way you said that because, we don't necessarily have to be waving rosaries in people's faces. We don't have to be shouting prayers on Guadalupe Street. That's not what we're going to be asking you guys to do. But instead, you want to become provocative leaders. We don't want to be provocateurs. We don't want to be people who are stirring the pot all the time because that doesn't attract people. That doesn't attract people to the mission that we want to do. Instead, we need to be provocative leaders who take charge and, lead people into battle, inspire people to go together to this mission that we want.
It's a little bit of the sense of like leading by your actions, not your words. Like
leading by your actions, leading by who you are,
Mm-hmm.
drawing people to your own personality. And, what is that reaction that we look to inspire in people by being these provocative leaders?
Is this the part where we talk about the other popular phrase in the document?
Perhaps the most popular phrase in the document.
So I think Zach's referring to being irresistible question marks, and what does that mean? I think what we aim to do is to get people to ask themselves or to reflect, cause in them some sort of self-reflection as to like, what is this person doing? What has this person got going on?
Yeah.
Why are they behaving this way? Why are they always really going about taking notes in class the right way? Why are they doing this or that? And it should be kind of mysterious because it's sort of outside of their immediate experience. This person's acting different.
Right, and they're acting different, but they're doing so, and this is the other side of the phrase that's so important, is they're doing so in an irresistible way. They're different, but they're normal at the same time. It's someone who's, so attractive that this person cannot resist asking them, they're forced to ask themselves this question of like, wow, this person has called in a question, like maybe some of the, kind of apathy I have towards the spiritual life because this person is so spiritual. Or maybe it's this question of, wow, this guy can be totally normal and cool. There's been guys in SUM who are in fraternities, right? Who, they party and they hang with their friends and that kind of thing, but they do so in a way that's perfectly aligned with the will of God. In the
Work
sense
hard,
of
play hard, pray hard.
pray hard.
Yeah, no, well, I will say, like, that's one thing that I do appreciate about SUM is it takes, it shows you that, like, the people who are praying, the Christians that are really involved, aren't weirdos.
Exactly. I think that that's super important for us to keep in mind. You know, we have to be, on the one hand, question marks, provocative leaders that, you know, make people ask that question of themselves, but also be irresistible. So those are kind of our two favorite parts of the motto and of the mission statement as well. There's other things that we want to touch on, though, in this mission statement that I think are really important. And the first one I want to talk about is the union with Mary. So to me, really, when I see that, I think, you know, why Mary? I think you guys might be reading this and saying, like, well, why not a union with Jesus? Like, why not just, you know, going to Mass? Why not just asking Jesus to help us in this mission? And, you know, of course, as Catholics, we understand that's implied when we talk to the Blessed Mother. You know, she, as we can see right here, is always depicted with Christ. She's never depicted, really, without him, unless she's just, like, standing on the head of the devil or something. Which
she's doing something important.
Right, she's doing something important, by the way, which is, you know, for example, acting as the new Eve, destroying sin, right? But usually she's portrayed as pregnant with Christ, or holding Christ, or at the cross with Christ.
But why does this document stress so much, like, cooperation with Mary?
Absolutely. I think the
and
best...
And even at times, by the way, it's confusing. Sometimes it switches into the voice of Mary.
Right, like that last paragraph there says, "You may feel this is an impossible task, but fear not, I will provide for those who love me." You know, it switches from the voice of whoever's reading the document out loud into the voice of the Blessed Mother, challenging us. She loves those who love her. And that's what this union with Mary is all about. And the best way I've heard it explained was, you know, there's a lot of Catholics who go to the Blessed Mother and bring her their needs, right? Like they bring concerns, worries about finances, their families, their children to the Blessed Mother. They pray rosaries to her and ask her for help. You know, we have Our Lady of Perpetual Help, for example. Louis de Montfort, too, in his consecration to the Blessed Mother, talks about asking the Blessed Mother to take total control. And, you know, there's all those faithful Catholics doing that. She's doing that united with Christ, of course, all of her work. But, you know, who's helping the Blessed Mother? I think that's the big question that stopped me in my tracks was there's all these people standing up for Christ. You know, there's a lot of our brothers and sisters who are, you know, Protestant Christians standing up for Christ too, and also Catholics. But there's a lot of people who treat the Blessed Mother like just the mother, but she's also our educator, right? And she's also our queen who directs us in battle. You know, who's standing up as a knight for the Blessed Mother to battle sin?
Yeah, I think the dimensions that you just said that SUM does a good job of stressing is Mary's queenship. So, like, our work to follow her lead, to try to do what she wants us to do on campus and with the branch. But then the other thing, the educator part, which is both the queen and the educator are the more like interactive, I say, dimensions of being with Mary. Like we're listening, we're giving and taking. Like she will let her take the lead because she's gonna direct us in our mission, but then also she's gonna educate us through that because ultimately mothers. That's what they do.
That's what mothers do.
Yeah, they educate their children in love of God. So
absolutely, and I think, you know, we could also say, you know, why not just with Jesus? I like continuing to think along these lines because we can look at the Blessed Mother as someone who can fully and perfectly relate to us too, because Christ was fully man, of course, but he was also fully God, and therefore he was, you know, completely without sin in a lot of ways. He had his temptations and that kind of thing. Of course, we want to relate to him. But the Blessed Mother raised Jesus as a man, right? And in that way, she can raise each of us as a mother and as an educator to become like Christ. And that's so powerful.
Right. And with the goals put forth in this document, I think the more that you think about what Mary was able to do in the life of Christ and what she's been able to do for the great saints, we can have confidence that relying on her and working with her, that the kind of lofty things that are proposed in this document and that we abide by will actually come to fruition.
And that's what's so unique about SUM. You know, we see in this document, never before has UT seen a place so devoted to the Blessed Mother. You know, UT's seen other Catholic groups. They've seen other Christian groups who do a lot of fantastic work. what makes us unique is that, you know, we're literally the Blessed Mother's soldiers. We're her ambassadors. We're her knights.
We're her champions.
We're her champions.
Shout out.
Yeah, for the life of the church. And, you know, this gives us a really unique place. It gives us a true identity that's unique, that's necessary for our times. She walks us through our self-sanctification for UT and for the world. So that's talking a little bit about Mary. I want to transition a little bit about transforming UT into a place of virtue and grace. Because, you know, we said that, you know, once we transform ourselves, we do transform UT. And, you know, it's not just limited to our small group, though. We can make an impact. I know, like, there was a Eucharistic procession our first year at UT, which was something awesome. I think in the works, there's some guys trying to get that started again.
All of the apostolates have contributed, I think, to this goal and this mission. And I think to the extent that we help, you know, play whatever role we need to at the UCC
Definitely.
and other places on campus, that we can pursue this goal. And I think a lot of people just, you gotta stretch out your timeline.
Yeah.
Like, it's not all on you to transform it now, but you are part of what's going to be a history of transformation. So
Definitely. We plant the seeds, they grow. The Blessed Mother tills the soil when we graduate and that kind of thing, but we can still be active participants. You know, I love that you brought up the apostolates, because that's where these founding guys got these ideas. They started the first adoration at UT.
which is mentioned in here, by the way.
Yep.
Read
Fun
up.
fact. But they saw in the apostolates and the impact that they had on people that SUM could truly become something that would change UT, right? That would draw people towards the Catholic Center where these adorations were happening. And sure enough, you know, over the years, there was the Good Friday pilgrimage was started, where, you know, now the whole city of Austin sees that. And that's unprecedented. I mean, you and I both grew up in Austin. I would have never imagined
It's not a Catholic town.
It's not. I would have never imagined a 1,000-person event commemorating the life of Christ on Good Friday, but that came from SUM.
Yeah. So, guys, like, read up on this document, revisit it once a semester is probably a good rule after you've really dove deep in your first semester or two, and always think about how you're living out the motto and the mission.
Definitely. It's an invitation. You know, this document isn't, you know, holding us firm to necessarily like what we're forced to do, but it's always a free invitation. When we have that wristband on and we read Transforming Hearts with Mary, it reminds us of this chance to participate in the life of God at UT. And so that's a little bit of our intro here. I did want to take a second to point out our shirts that we're wearing. Justin's got on his Schoenstatt University men's shirt. I'm wearing my Ignis 2019 shirt, which is an international Schoenstatt University men event that I had the privilege to attend. And so, you know, you'll get to see a little bit of our branch history in our sartorial communication, or, you know, put in layman's terms in our shirts that we're going to be wearing. So just wanted to give you all a chance to see that. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure getting to talk about the founding document. Hope this can be helpful for y'all's life groups discussions.
Yeah, totally.